In recent days, something has changed inside you, and you cannot explain what it is. Nothing serious has happened. No one attacked you. No bad news arrived. But you are irritated by things that didn't irritate you before. You are reacting disproportionately to small situations. A sharp word from someone at work throws you off balance for hours. An innocent comment from a family member makes you want to lock yourself in your room. You are sleeping poorly, dreaming of things you haven't dreamed of in years, and waking up with a feeling of heaviness in your chest that cannot be explained by anything happening on the surface of your life. If you are over 35 and experiencing this, I need you to understand one thing right now. This is not emotional weakness. It is not burnout. It is not PMS. It is not a phase of the moon. What is happening to you has a name, a cause, and a way out. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you all three with a clarity that perhaps no one has ever offered you. But I must warn you, this video will make you uncomfortable. Not because I'm going to attack you, but because I'm going to turn on the light in a room of your life that you have kept in the dark for a long time. And when the light turns on in a dark room, the first reaction is to close your eyes. Do not close them, stay with me. Psychology has a concept that was developed by Carl Jung, and which, after decades of being treated as abstract theory, began to be confirmed by research in affective neuroscience. The concept is called the shadow. It is not an esoteric metaphor. It is not mystical language. Shadow in analytical psychology is the name given to everything that you are, but refuse to recognize that you are. They are the fears you hid so well that you forgot they exist. They are the angers you swallowed so many times that they became part of your stomach wall. They are the truths about yourself that were so painful to face that your psychic system pushed them into the basement of consciousness and locked the door.
Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life, a guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming, with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you and strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10,000 readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you, who were tired of living in the fog, ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.
And here is the problem. What goes into the basement does not disappear. It ferments. It builds pressure. And at some point, when the pressure exceeds the door's capacity to contain it, everything begins to leak. The disproportionate irritability. It is a leak. The disturbing dreams. They are leaks. The exaggerated reaction to a word that shouldn't have that weight. A leak. It is not the present that is hurting you. It is the past forcing its way through the present because you did not face it when you should have. Researchers at the Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul, in the postgraduate program in psychiatry, published a study on what they call late emotional emergency in adults over 35. The phenomenon describes the resurgence of repressed emotional content, unprocessed traumas, unlived grief, unexpressed anger, that reappears decades after the original event, often without an identifiable external trigger. The researchers found that this phenomenon is more common in people who developed high functionality throughout their lives. That is, people who learned to function despite the pain, who built productive lives on emotional foundations that were never treated. And the most important conclusion of the study is that the late emergency is not a collapse. It is an attempt by the psychic system to heal itself. The repressed material does not rise to destroy. It rises because it has finally found minimum internal safety conditions to be processed. It is as if your unconscious were saying, now you are strong enough to look at this. Keep this information, because it completely changes the interpretation of what you are living. In the Bible, the most devastating scene of confrontation with the shadow happens in 2 Samuel chapter 12. David was king of Israel. the man after God's own heart, the shepherd who killed the giant, the poet who wrote the Psalms. And this same man committed adultery with Bathsheba, ordered the killing of her husband, Uriah, to cover up what he had done, and continued living as if nothing had happened. For months, governing, making decisions, sitting on the throne, receiving honors. Life continued functioning on the surface while underneath everything was rotting. And then God sent the prophet Nathan. And Nathan did not arrive pointing his finger. He did not say, "You are a murderer and an adulterer." He did something much more devastating. He told a story. The story of a rich man who had many sheep and who, when he received a visitor instead of using one of his own, took the only sheep of a poor man. A sheep that was like a daughter to him. It ate from his table, it slept in his arms. And the rich man took it. David heard the story and was furious. The text says that David's anger burned greatly against that man. He said, "As surely as the Lord lives, the man who did this must die." And it is at that exact moment, in that fraction of a second between indignation and the silence that follows, that Nathan says the foremost cutting words in all of Scripture, "Thou art the man. Atah haish, you are the man." I need you to feel the weight of this scene. David did not recognize himself in the story. The shadow works exactly like that. You see in others what you cannot see in yourself. You are indignant at the injustice of others while ignoring your own. And when someone turns on the light, when someone says, "Thou art the man," the first reaction is shock. Not because the truth is new, but because it was always there, locked in the basement, and hearing someone say it out loud destroys the illusion that it did not exist. The Hebrew word that describes what happened inside David at that moment is nakah. 2 Samuel chapter 24 uses this same word when it says that David's heart struck him. Nakah means to strike, to hit, to wound. But the wound did not come from outside. David's heart wounded itself. The very organ of consciousness turned against the lie he had sustained. Nakah is what happens when the shadow is finally illuminated. The blow does not come from God, it does not come from the prophet, it does not come from the world, it comes from within. It is the consciousness refusing to remain anesthetized. And if this content is making you feel something you didn't feel in other videos, something deeper, more uncomfortable, more personal, that is not a reason to close it. It is a reason to stay. Subscribe to this channel now and activate the bell, because what we build here is not spiritual entertainment, it is surgery. And each video cuts a different layer. If you miss one, the healing remains incomplete. Stay. Now I need to go deeper, because understanding that the shadow exists is the first step, but you need to understand why it formed, and the reason is simpler and more painful than you imagine. The shadow forms every time you receive the message, explicit or implicit, that a part of you is not acceptable. The child who expressed anger and was punished learns that anger is unacceptable. They don't stop feeling anger, they stop showing it. The anger goes to the basement. The teenager who demonstrated vulnerability and was humiliated learns that vulnerability is dangerous. They don't stop feeling fear, they stop admitting it. The fear goes to the basement. The adult who tried something bold and was ridiculed learns that daring is too risky. They don't stop having ambition, they stop acting on it. The ambition goes to the basement. And over time, the basement becomes so full that the person functions only with what is left on the top floor, an edited, approved, safe version of themselves that the world accepts, but which they, in the quiet hours, know is not complete. Researchers at the Institute of Psychiatry of the University of São Paulo published a study on what they call the metabolic cost of emotional repression. The conclusion is biologically demonstrable. Maintaining repressed emotional content consumes measurable energy from the nervous system. The body spends resources continuously to keep the basement lid closed. That is why the person who carries a lot of unprocessed shadow lives tired for no apparent reason. It is not the work that tires them. It is not the routine. It is the invisible effort of keeping hidden what needs to be seen. And here I need to introduce you to someone who understood this in a way that deeply moves me every time I read it. In the book of Genesis, chapter 16, we find Hagar. She was the Egyptian slave of Sarah. She was used as an instrument to give a son to Abraham when Sarah could not conceive. She became pregnant, was despised by Sarah, and fled into the desert, alone. Pregnant, enslaved, discarded, in a desert where there is no witness, where no one sees, where no one matters. And it is in this desert, in this place of total invisibility, that something extraordinary happens. An angel appears and asks Hagar a question. Where have you come from, and where are you going? And she answers with an honesty that cuts, I am fleeing from the presence of my mistress Sarah. She did not say, I am in search of something better. She did not say, I am following a calling. She told the raw truth. I am fleeing. But what happens next is what transforms everything. The angel gives instructions, makes promises about her son's future, and Hagar responds by naming God in a way that had never been done before in all of Scripture. She calls him El Roi. In Hebrew, El Roi means the God who sees me, not the God who judges me, not the God who punishes me, the God who sees me. Hagar, the invisible slave, the woman whom no social structure recognized as a person, in the depths of a desert where no one looks, discovers that she is seen, that there is a gaze that penetrates the desert, that penetrates the flight, that penetrates the shame, and that sees not what she did, but who she is. And here is the connection with what you are living. The shadow exists because at some point, you believed it was not safe to be seen in your entirety. That parts of you needed to stay hidden so that you would be accepted, loved, respected. And you built an entire life around that belief. But what is happening now, this emotional emergency, these leaks, this nameless restlessness, is the moment when the gaze of El Roi is reaching your internal desert, not to expose you publicly, to see you, to tell you that the parts you hid do not need to stay in the basement, that they too are part of you, and that you do not need to continue spending energy to hide them. If this video is touching something that goes beyond the intellectual, if you felt a lump in your throat or a tightness in your chest in the last few minutes, leave your like now, not as a mechanical gesture, but as a recognition that something inside you is being seen. And this like makes it so that other people who are in the same desert as Hagar find this content. You can be the means by which someone discovers they are seen. Now I need to take you to the third layer, because so far I have shown you what the shadow is and why it forms. But now I need to show you what happens when you choose to face it, and what happens when you choose to continue fleeing. Because there is a radical difference between the two paths, and this difference defines the rest of your story. The oldest moment of confrontation with the shadow in the entire Bible is in Genesis 3. Adam and Eve ate the fruit, and the first thing they did afterward was hide. The text says they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. They covered themselves. They hid the parts they now perceived as vulnerable. And then they hid among the trees of the garden. And God, who obviously knew where they were, asks a question that echoes to this day. Ayeka, where art thou? Ayeka is one of the most studied words in the rabbinic tradition. The question is not geographical. God did not lose Adam in the garden. Ayeka is an existential question. Where are you in relation to yourself? Where have you hidden? What is the distance between who you are and who you are pretending to be? It is the question that every human being, at some point in life, needs to hear and needs to answer. And notice Adam's response. I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. The sequence is revealing. I heard, I was afraid, I was naked, I hid. 4 phases that repeat in every human experience of confronting the truth. You hear something, a perception, a consciousness, an insight. You feel fear, because truth implies change. You perceive nakedness, the vulnerability of being seen without a mask. And you hide. You create mechanisms, justifications, distractions to avoid the confrontation. And most people live their entire lives in the 4th stage, hidden, with fig leaf aprons that they call personality, professionalism, practicality, maturity, but which are, deep down, coverings for the parts they decided it is not safe to show. The scientific publication, Psychological Science, published a longitudinal study on what researchers call perceived authenticity and well-being in adults. The conclusion is consistent with decades of clinical data. The greater the distance between who the person really is and who they present to the world, the higher the level of anxiety, depression, and emotional exhaustion. The unprocessed shadow is not just a theoretical concept, it has a measurable cost on mental and physical health. And the cost increases with age, because each year of maintaining the mask requires more energy from a system that has less energy available. The Federal University of Bahia, in the clinical psychology study program, conducted research with Brazilian adults in long-term therapeutic processes and identified a pattern they called the confession point. It is the moment in therapy when the person finally verbalizes that which was hidden, not from the therapist but from themselves, a belief they carried but never said out loud, a feeling they felt but never named, a truth about themselves they knew but never consciously admitted. And the researchers noted that, in the vast majority of cases, the confession point was followed by a period of intense relief, not because the problem was solved, but because the energy that was spent to keep the secret was released. The person literally feels lighter for having stopped hiding from themselves. This is exactly what happened with David. After Nathan said, "Thou art the man," the text of 2 Samuel 12 verse 13 records David's response. "I have sinned against the Lord." 3 words, Chatati la Adonai. No excuse, no context, no "but I was under pressure." 3 naked words. And Psalm 51, which tradition attributes to this moment, begins with a request that only makes sense after the shadow has been faced. "Create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me." The Hebrew word David uses there for create is bara. And bara is not just any verb of creation. It is the verb reserved exclusively for divine creation. It is the verb of Genesis 1, verse 1. "In the beginning God bara the heavens and the earth." When David asks, "Bara in me a clean heart," he is not asking for a renovation. He is asking for a creation from scratch. He is saying, the old heart, the one that functioned with the hidden shadow, that one no longer serves. I need a new one, and only you can create from nothing. This is the passage from confrontation to reconstruction, and it is only possible after the truth has been told, after Ayeka has been answered, after Ata Haish has been accepted, after Chatati has been pronounced. Now comes the practical part, because I need to equip you for what comes after understanding. The first step is to stop interpreting the leak as a defect. That irritability, that causeless fatigue, that strange dream, it is not a sign that you are breaking. It is a sign that the repressed material is seeking a way out, and the way out is better than containment. The open basement, even if it is frightening, is healthier than the locked basement about to explode. The second step is to name it, not to solve it. To name it. There is a technique documented by researchers at Yale University in the Department of Psychology called affective labeling. The discovery is that the simple act of giving a name to what you are feeling significantly reduces activity in the amygdala, the brain region responsible for the fear response. When you say, "I am angry," instead of simply feeling anger without recognizing it, the prefrontal cortex takes over part of the control, and the emotion loses intensity. It doesn't disappear, it loses the power to dominate you. Naming is the first act of sovereignty over the shadow, and here is the connection with the biblical tradition. The first task God gave Adam in the garden, before the fall, before the shadow, before everything, was to name. Genesis 2, verse 19. God brought the animals, and Adam gave a name to each one. The act of naming is the original act of ordering. When you name what you feel, you do with your inner life what Adam did with the garden. You bring order to chaos. You take it from the formless and give it form. You take it from the dark and bring it into language, into consciousness, into the light. The Greek word for truth is aletheia, and the etymology of this word is deeply revealing. Aletheia comes from which is a particle of negation, and lethe, which means forgetfulness, concealment. Aletheia, therefore, literally means unconcealment, taking out of hiding, removing the veil. Truth, in the deepest Greek conception, is not something one builds. It is something one discovers when one removes what was covering it. The truth is already there. The work is to remove the fig leaves. The third step, and this is the most important, is to understand that facing the shadow is not a solitary act. David needed Nathan. Hagar was found by an angel. Adam was called by God. None of them faced the truth completely alone. And you don't have to either. Seeking professional help is not weakness. Talking to someone you trust is not exposure, it is wisdom. It is recognizing that the basement has accumulated decades of material and that opening it with guidance is safer and more effective than opening it alone. IPEA, the Institute for Applied Economic Research, published data showing that access to mental health services among Brazilian adults over 35 is still markedly low, even among those who report significant symptoms of emotional distress. The most cited barrier is not financial, it is the belief that I should be able to handle it alone. This belief is itself a shadow. It is a fig leaf dressed as strength that, in reality, keeps the basement locked. I need you to do something now. Go to the comments and write the word "I face it." In capital letters, I face it. This word is the opposite of ayeka without an answer. It is you saying, I hear the question. I know where I am, I know what I hid, and I choose to stop fleeing. I am not going to open the whole basement at once, but I am going to stop pretending it doesn't exist. Write "I face it" and feel what that decision produces inside you. I want to close with the scene of Hagar in the desert. She is alone, pregnant, discarded, in a place where no one would look for her, and she gave God a name that no one before had given. El Roi, the God who sees me. And the text adds, in verse 13 of Genesis 16, her words, "Have I really seen him who sees me?" I need you to absorb the depth of this phrase. Hagar is not just saying that God saw her, she is wondering if she really saw God's gaze. Because being seen is one thing, perceiving that you are being seen is another. And this perception, the awareness that there is a gaze that penetrates the desert, that penetrates the basement, that penetrates the mask, and that sees everything without turning away, is the beginning of all healing. You are being seen, now. The parts you hid, the angers you swallowed, the fears you locked away, the truths you stifled, all of this is being seen by a gaze that is not frightened by what it finds. That does not retreat. That does not judge in the way you fear. That sees the stolen sheep and the man who stole it, and yet is still there before you, not to destroy, but to say, now that the truth is in the light, we can begin to rebuild. Ata Haish, thou art the man, not as condemnation, as liberation. Because while the truth was in the basement, it controlled you. Now that it is in the light, you can decide what to do with it. If this video moved something that normally stays untouchable, share it now with someone you perceive is living under a mask. Not with judgment, but with compassion. Sometimes the greatest act of love is to send someone a light that you yourself have just received. And activate the bell, because in the next video I will reveal what happens when the shadow is faced and the reconstruction begins. There is a phase right after the confrontation that is so unexpected that most people think it went wrong. And it is exactly in this phase that the deepest work is happening. If you do not understand what you are living through, you might abandon the process at the most critical moment. Do not miss that video. El Roi is looking at you now. The question is the same one that has echoed since the garden. Hayitka, where art thou? You know the answer. Say it.
Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life, a guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming, with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you and strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10,000 readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who were tired of living in the fog, ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.